Now, you are looking at pictures of some beautiful young ladies. This is Holly with her two best friends who we are talking to exclusively right now. And we're talking about Mary Beth Helms and Jill White. I want to thank you both for joining us. Mary Beth, first of all, I can't even imagine what it's like to have your best friend that you love so dearly, who looks so much like you, go missing. How has this impacted your life?
It's changed me. It's been really difficult, and it's something that I think about every day, but it's made me stronger.
Tell us about Holly, because from everything that we've heard, Holly was just about perfect. I mean, she was a wonderful sister. She was a nursing student. She was a wonderful daughter. She was kind. She was compassionate. She loved to sing. She was just a wonderful, wonderful human being. So many people have become invested in her story. You tell us, describe her in your words.
Holly was really a blessing in my life. We met when we were 15 or 16, and she was probably one of the funniest people that I've ever known. When you first met her, she was very, very, very quiet. But then when you got to know her, she was the exact opposite. Quiet was the last thing that she was. And she was just a lot of fun to be around.
I've got to talk a little bit about the investigation, but I know you're very concerned about not stepping into that. So let's just state some facts. Some are wondering if police are targeting a group of people. They believe they're targeting a group of people in an attempt to squeeze information out of them about the Holly Bobo abduction. Now, they arrested Zachary Adams just 4 days ago, and they accuse him of putting a gun to a woman's head and threatening to, quote, gut her with a knife. What a violent act, if true. The very next day, though, cops arrest the woman he allegedly attacked, and she's pictured here, Amber Bray. Now, she's accused of failure to appear on previous theft charges. Turns out that she is the sister of Zachary's girlfriend. Now, that girlfriend claims that this woman, her sister, made up the whole assault story because she was jealous over Zachary's relationship with her. So it seems to me like cops are trying to round up this entire circle of friends, and Zachary's own mother has admitted that Zachary has a drug problem. Others say it goes beyond that. But you live in the area. Mary Beth, do you know anything about this crowd that's been described as kind of a crowd that, well, at least Zachary is involved with drugs?
I do not know anything about the crowd. I didn't grow up here. I've been here since I was about 15. I don't know any of them. I don't have any more information than the general public does. So, I mean, I don't know anything about Zach other than what has been released.
You weren't at the the raccoon hunt dinner where she was a week before, were you?
I don't know how factual that actually is, but I was not there that year, no.
Let me ask you, Jill White. You're also the best friend of Holly Bobo. Tell me about the last time you spoke to her, the last time you saw her.
I had spoken with Holly about a day or two before she came up missing. It was really just a funny encounter. I'd met her on the road, and I'd called her to talk to her. My mother and I were having we were talking about her license plate, and so it was really just a funny encounter about that. And Holly and I were supposed to sing at church that following Sunday, so we were calling to talk about when we were going to meet to practice singing.
Well, I have to say that I know it's been probably just a hellish experience for you two young ladies, and I think it's great that you keep that spirit and that hope that it'll work out okay. But some of the things that we're learning are very, very, they're disturbing, to say the least. Now, Zachary Adams' mother, Cindy, released a statement to local media. This is the mother of the guy who was arrested, whose property was searched in connection with Holly Bobo's disappearance, searched with cadaver dogs. They even dug up, his backyard with excavation materials. She refers to her son as a drug addict. She also says, quote, Zachary Adams has, to my knowledge, not been questioned by the TBI, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, regarding Holly Bobo's case. His brother, Dylan Adams, has been interrogated without an attorney present and is being held in federal holding. She claims this other son, Dylan, has been behind bars, federal bars, since July. and that he told his mother he's been interrogated about Zachary and Holly. So I have to go back to our Lions Den panel, Adam Zwickel, criminal defense attorney. Can you try to analyze the situation? You've got this mystery brother. We don't really know what he's being held on. Claims he's being held behind federal bars since July. We can't even get a photo of him. I mean, it's been really hard to get any information. We've been waiting for a couple of days on Zachary's rap sheet, which supposedly is on its way and just doesn't arrive. It's all very mysterious. What do you think's going on?
Well, I mean, first of all, I agree with John's assessment that this is clearly a squeeze job. But law enforcement needs to be very, very careful when they act this way. They need to be careful about talking with people without lawyers, and they need to be very careful about releasing information, because they certainly don't want a defense attorney like myself coming forward and destroying their investigation. They've got to be very vigilant, but they also have to be very careful about who they interview and the way in which they do it, so they don't rush to judgment and ruin their case.
Well, listen, I hate to say this, Mark Klass, because we assume that Holly's family is watching. We pray for them. We hope that it all turns out okay. But at this point, 3 years later, and especially with what we're learning, we have to assume that there's a good possibility that she might be deceased. And you know what they say, no body, no case. I mean, that's the big problem, Mark Klass.
Well, it is a big problem, but Jane, I've been in their shoes, and certainly not for 3 years, but for 2 months, and you start out very hopeful that you'll get your daughter back alive. But there's a big enduring hole in your heart, and it's something that everybody in that family is living with, and probably most especially her brother, because he's also living with the guilt of having seen her be kidnapped and not know what was going on. So at this point, they want Holly home. They want this to end. They want to know that their child is no longer being hurt by anybody. And that really is probably the overwhelming feeling that they have right now. That and the overreaching anxiety that they've had to live with for these past